Number 9.
Number 9.
And you said this
This,
is interesting one.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, we've had a few days of like whirlwind, hurricane, chaos, just family and some weird illness that's going around, like having skin stuff and having to go to the doctor, which is unusual for us.
Oh,
And the kids are not feeling well, so they're less stable and they're requiring a little bit more from us in that
mm.
front. And yeah, there's a few moments over the past few days where I'm like, I don't know if this is like I was telling Carl, like I don't know if this is like a filter for the new Earth, but I'm
Ah.
like, I don't think we're gonna make it. 'Cause,
I love it. Make
uh,
it where?
to like, like you have to, the way I think about it when things are difficult is like, um, yeah, we have to pass through this test to make it. And
I
basically, the
love
test is like, illness and insanity, and if you can't get
it.
through it, um, but
Love it.
yeah, but I found last night, I found my own center again, again, and reconnected with my kids, and uh, was able to see what it is that they're needing and missing, and try to
Mm.
offer that. Just try to offer it, and in trying, I think that's where the connection is reestablished. And yeah, but now Carly is she's like one day behind me, so she's going through it right now, and that yeah, it's tough. It's just
So,
tough. Yeah.
what do you understand places you out of your center?
Mm, it's mostly mind. So like fear, anxiety, worry, planning, um, and then there's a little bit of body too. Like if like the exhaustion or uh, emotions can get very strong. Yeah,
Mm. So cool. And then you realize you're out there.
yeah. Not until I go back to center do I realize how far out I was.
Yeah. And you said, we're not going to make it. Many times I had the same exact thing. I would call my mother and I said, you are my mother. You must take care of me. You're responsible. 20, 30, 40, 50. Doesn't matter how old I am. I'm coming back. You need to take care of me. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't do it. And I find this tango
Mm-hmm.
like out, in, up, down, up, down.
Mm-hmm.
And he beautifully said it and explained it in this. Why, when you skip from this to this, and what causes it, right? What causes it to not have these centers of awareness or concentration or ability to come back into the center and feel home? And why we seek, 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 seek all the time. I really like this one, the first part. The second one, I was a little bit confused, but.
Mm.
And then the moment you become aware, the moment you're like, oh, but I'm not my thoughts. I'm not there.
Mm.
I'm here. But this sense I find very, very vivid, like very, I can't explain it. And I found it in Vipassana, what he was talking about, because I was then, first time I became aware that I'm out there, that what he said, center your concentration on the dot externally. And then that dot, that place slowly kept coming back to me. And then suddenly I was aware from the inside out. It was just weird, vivid sense, not even sensation. It was just coming closer. And this is how I understood the centeredness. And ever since, I feel a lot more. I'm able to feel a lot more. Yes, think too, but also experience things inside the body, within the body a lot.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
And do you find the external approach was more fitting for you, or did it not matter too much? Like you could do either one.
Yeah, I totally disconnected from it. I mean, I cannot connect to it. I can't do it, but I know that it's it becomes very shell. It just becomes very like I don't know any other word other than the surface, external, outside of me, if I'm concentrating on it. And then I went back to see, you remember how he said all the power sits here in the third eye? And then you literally pull all this power and sucks in and everything else stops.
Yeah.
And more I go through these techniques and I am understanding them, more and more they all make sense somehow because they're
Mm-hmm.
they're literally bringing you back in one way or another to the center of the being.
Mm-hmm.
So out there, I'm not experiencing much how I'm experiencing inside myself, my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations, my awareness within underneath the skin somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how else to explain it, else to understand it. And it's not like
Hmm.
he goes way off, and I was like, oh, a long way to go to that aura light, a
Yeah.
long time. But if anything, how do it helps to loosen the mind's tension.
Mm-hmm.
I find it. So, how did you come back to the center yesterday, last night?
Um, it's tricky because I'm trying to, in the moment, like, what was I doing? Looking back, it's just like having permission or giving myself permission to just slow down even more, which is counterintuitive because it feels like there's so much to do, there's so much to keep up with, there's always cleaning, there's always laundry, etc. Um, and I just had the
Yeah.
instinct to just relax and let go a bit. And
Mm.
the only thing, the only logic that came through around that was, okay, if we're getting sick, then my stress about getting sick or taking care of everybody is potentially going to make this worse for me, and then I'm not going to be able to be a caretaker that I want to be.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I don't want to be sick, really. So, the best thing I can do for myself, it's like put your own oxygen mask on the airplane before you do it for other people or for your kids. Is like I can relax. I can relax and still function and, chop wood, carry water, that sort of thing, but just in a much more relaxed way, slowing down. And so I did that. I allowed myself to, and I think that transmits a frequency to people around me, right? And then also to,
Mm.
I think it changes like the material world a little bit too.
Mhm.
Like the house can feel whatever that means. But yeah, it's a little more
Rich.
imaginative. Yeah. But in reading this, uh, I'm like, oh yeah, I dream in color for sure.
Mm.
So imagining the five senses as colors and just having the immersion of, and it also like really paired well with like my understanding of physics and how the world operates, like how consciousness operates. because in my imagining, it was like the colors were going out, touch, sound, taste, but there was a lot of blackness amidst. It's like wherever the colors weren't, there was blackness. There's a lot of blackness.
Mm.
And I was just finding like um, the temptation to fill the whole space with all color. And I
Mm.
was like, but that's not actually true reality, at least
Mm.
with where we are with consciousness, because our five senses are a limited experience of what's actually happening, as we know. Um,
Yeah.
but in going into the center, I kept bringing it in, and there was like a ball or a sphere, and I'm like, what is this little? I'm like, why am I creating a ball? Like it should be the end point and not another point. So I kept in my imagination, I kept placing a ball, and then I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go in the ball, and then there would be another ball, essentially like out an outer edge to nothingness, and I'm like, that's not, I'm not quite there yet. So I just kept going in and in and in, and yeah, and then just finding like there's just stillness, and then you can feel the colors moving out. And I like how he talked about mind as movement, how it's a process. It's like it's constantly shifting. The mind is going from A to B. You can't really be at A. And I'm like, wow, this is really framing meditation in a great way for me. Like I'm appreciating it more.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I just really felt a lot of things clicking around this one.
Mm. See, my experience was different. I wasn't in my mind. And like we have to understand. To me, I have to understand what I'm doing. And there's a certain trust that comes in following that understanding in those steps that someone else gave. So I have to understand it, then I have to trust it, then I have to enter into it. And then it's in the body. I had sensations in the body. My hand was one color, my other hand was different color. And then I had these like five spheres around me that was
Mm-hmm.
just coming in and they were dancing and moving and they were very active and they were powder and then they became color and see almost like not matter. And as they came, they blended in and I couldn't understand and couldn't feel like almost I couldn't understand where the edges of each color was, but I felt them blending in. So this immediately separated me from what I know versus what I'm feeling. And they were just coming, almost like coming into the center. They were hug. See, I love that I lack the words because, he says, when you're in the heart, you're a poet and you lack a lot of words. And one word means so much more, in the experience. And I almost felt the waves just moving as I understand the sound or a light moves. Like it's almost like a blast, but there's a wave that comes with it, right? So it was very moving in my body. And I couldn't get to the center because I was dancing in poetry of the colors. And I liked it. I was like, oh, I like this. I'll stay here. And then I realized it's not the center. And then I started thinking, oh, how do I get to the center? And the sensation just disappeared. And I love that he explains these three layers of centers. One that it's being, the other one that it's loving, or how did he say being? And then,
Feeling and then
mm,
thinking or knowing.
oh, yes. So being in a navel as a
Mm-hmm.
center of belonging, the center where everything we have a sense of home. Then substitute of it is what we learn is to go into the heart of feeling, and then out of which what we learn is to intellectualize. So three different centers, and I'll sidetrack for just for a second, and then I'll come
S
back.
S Q E Q I Q, by the way.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I'm not gonna sidetrack that much.
Go ahead.
Um, I've had situations where women would come in and ask, what does it mean to love another woman? And it's really hard to explain unless you experience this. It's really hard. And I would literally come in and says, there are three centers. I'm not joking.
Hmm.
I'm not joking, but laugh with me, okay? Just take it as a joke and laugh with me. There are three centers. There's a center of the sexuality that comes in, that does its own thing as its own intellect. And then there's a heart that expands and comes in as a different entity. And then there's a mind. So when all three are aligned, meaning what you feel activates your body, then activates your energy and spirit. You can't help it. You just get drawn and seduced by something much, that you cannot explain. It's just immediate merge, desire to merge. And then if your mind comes in and says, "Oh, but I'm not gay. Oh, I'm married. Oh, I have all these rules," then centers kind of get a little
Mm.
misaligned. But if all three are there and you're clear on what is what doing, then you have a choice to decide what you want to do with it. And you're either experiencing the whole shenanigans of it, because it's like you're taken whole by everything. And I would always try to explain them that way. One can work without the two, but when all three are working, well, something else is now in place. Your whole being is telling you something. And it's
Mm.
up to you what you want to do. That's when your will comes in, your conscious will of what you want to do for your own evolution and how you understand your next step in life or beingness or becoming is. And I love that because I really feel that. And for some reason, how he said women can get into the center of the heart and the body a lot faster, easier. We do close our eyes. We are feeling a lot of things, right? So, but we're also physiologically gifted with nerve endings that are double
Yeah,
than
more
you guys, right?
sensitivity. Yeah.
And it's true, we open from the heart immediately, immediately. So you, the male bodies need to a little bit work to get into the heart because their center is different, right? So I love that he comes in, you can't skip it, and that we are trained to skip the heart entirely. And man, do I go for the heart right away. I realized I was like, gosh, I feel so much more inside this area for whatever reason. And it's growing and it's growing and it's growing and it's evolving. And mine just follows with it. But anyway, I sidetracked. I wanted just to say these three centers are so, so beautifully explained and simple explanation from him. Yet there is a sense of me that I understand how all three operate just because I've been experiencing them very differently.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And yet I'm talking about physiological parts, not energetic parts. So now when you have the physiology of the body, which is feeling different sensations, now you can enter into a different parts of the physiological body too and feel like, ooh, is this is that my center of the navel? Is that my center of the heart? What is the center of the feeling? What is the
Mm.
center of being? What is the center of thinking? Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're touching on the way to witness is through like curiosity initially, and then being able to slow down enough to while things are occurring, like while experience is happening, and just observe and see, what's the quality of it, or where is it emanating from, or how is this tasting, or what's happening deeper that usually instead of being immersed in the experience of like for the mind running this race or going down this path or trying to achieve something and then just slowing down and being curious,
mm.
what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you're saying a key, slow. That what's the rush? Slow down.
Yeah. And
Slow,
then,
slow, slow, slow.
rush, I guess rush could come through from feeling and thinking potentially, but I'm sure most of it is from the mind.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Back
which goes
to, go ahead.
just to say goes back to our experience of time and the the subtle awareness or the subconscious awareness that it will end, that our
Mm.
death is on the horizon, right? And that's what gives us this sense of like needing to rush. And yeah, I was watching this show, right? And there's it's the same sci-fi one I was telling you about. And the robot's like 5,000 years old or something. And so the guy says to her, because you live forever, basically, you don't have this need to talk so much. That's why you're so silent. And he was just observing like we pontificate and we rush to get our words out, to create books, to write poetry because we have the sense
Mm.
that it's ending and we want to
Mm.
place our mark or contribute something. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's hard to slow
Yeah.
down. Slowing down feels like dying.
Yeah. So much to say on that. So much to, and yeah, I just had the feeling. Rather than speaking about it, I was just like, wow, the rush, the urgency, the contribution to do something, like you said, to put it on a paper, to go out there and publish this book, that book, this audio, this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
It's your death.
It actually feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels very, this is why I write
Mm-hmm.
small words because it's very hard to describe the true feelings, the deep feelings, deep feelings. And towards the end, he went deeper. And I had this sense of going deeper, deeper, deeper into the experience of it rather than getting lighter in the way of understanding. And then I pulled out, right? So pulled out and I was like, wow, we actually developed the center to think for some reason.
Yeah.
And okay, it must be there. Um, it's there. It's the fact we think, we feel, we have capacities for it. And then he touched base on growing the capacity for all centers rather than just one. And how the moment we think is the moment that we lose the sense of centeredness and present. And somehow we all know this. And yet it's hard to practice it. It's hard to practice. And I find it the only way to practice for me is intentional, where I take control, me, who wants to do something different. My awareness gives me an option to come in and says, okay, well, let me take a space and intentional time to practice coming back in it, practice coming back in it, and see what expands from it. And not only the heart, I can't go from the mind just down to the navel of beingness. I have to work on the heart. And I am so activated in the heart that I'm like, okay, hurry up. When is it now? I'm going to get back to the right
Mm-hmm.
the beingness to loosen up a little bit. And I wonder, last time we were talking about how life is designed like that. We evolved to become this like just wave of self-centeredness, not knowing, and then understanding and learning, and then understanding that everything we've learned so far is actually forget about it, cross it. So life gives you this option for the wave of roller coaster, trying in order to just get to the center. So I find it interesting that when you get to the wisdom age or the third part of your beingness, you're kind of let go of a lot of these things, right? So you let go of what you no longer know, you cannot control because you're closer to the death. And the closer you come to the ending, you're able to actually stop this thing from control. And then you ask these old elderly people in 90, if you had one advice, what would that be for young people? And they're like, chill, relax,
Yeah.
don't fear, like try new things in life. And easier said than done when even now we're in the middle of it with so much energy to use, and yet that energy goes directly to the head. And how much effort is taken to actually come back into the heart, just to drop down into the heart, into the body, and to feel life, feel love, feel breaking points, feel dark nights of the souls, feel these moments of experiencing life. And yet we can. We're afraid, we jump out. We're afraid, we jump out. And we only, when do you build capacity to get into the heart?
Mm.
Unless you're an artist that lives there most of the time. I don't know. I just went, I
Yeah.
spun around in circles within the center. So,
Oh, that's beautiful. And control seems to be a central theme that's coming up recently, at least in my experience.
mm,
And there's actually like two reactions you can have to the feeling of death or ending, and one is more control,
mm,
and that's actually the more common one. It's actually less common, and I think you see it manifest in the elderly, but that's because they've tried to control it and then failed, and then tried to control it and then failed, or tried to control it and saw that it didn't lead anywhere, it didn't do anything. So they've had, and the ones that tried to control it to the point of self-destruction, right? Had a heart attack and passed away, or it's like you have survivorship bias there too. We look at the elderly and we're like, "Oh yeah, you really learn to slow down and just be at peace and be in the garden, play some chess, whatever.
mm-hmm,
You drink tea."
mm,
And it's like we're looking at the ones who did it well, who figured out, what it means. So, just to add that component, but yeah, with each center, there's opportunity to. I keep having this visual pop up of um, the mind like a river, and the thoughts are floating by, and then you have the option to sit on the bank and watch the thoughts float by. I think there's an opportunity in each center, at least in these two, to kind of do that. And then this is much more rapid, much more
mm,
cerebral. There's actually more temptation involved. This is much more, it's even slower, right? So it's body, it's like not as frequent. It doesn't change as quickly. You can still, like, oh, I'm feeling frustration. I can sit on the bank and watch the frustration in my body and feel, just observe and become, like he says, you can go into it more, or you can kind of be a watcher of it. And then I think in the third, or in the first center in the hara, the opportunity to watch pulls you into it. Like there's, because it is being itself. It's the deepest center. And I found it so fascinating how in Tantra and in his approach, lovemaking is a tool to get you there because it's the third chakra and you have to pass through the third. You have to access the deeper second chakra. Um, and so in a sense, there's an opportunity there to awaken into that awareness and awaken into that center. And then also he mentioned some more parallels as a warrior.
Mm.
And he said, anytime you're experiencing bliss, bliss is emanating from that that deepest center in the hara. And like you said earlier, you said it was bringing you denser experience or deeper experience. You're feeling like this dissension instead of our typical experience of like bliss is this high and this like we feel way out and the body feels far away. It feels down.
Hmm.
Um, but I think in each instance, you're just taking a different observation point, but it's essentially the same experience, right? You can be way out, and then in order to be way out, like the further out you go, I think the stronger, the more stable your foundation has to be in order for that to occur. So,
Mm. Mm. Beautiful. And this reminded me, you said the war, the sex, the warrior. And I love how he touches the base on when you approach the danger, which means
mhm,
death, the ending, you can experience the bliss because your mind is no more. You're acting out of heart. You're acting out of a different center, not out of heart, but out of navel center, how I understood it. So your mind, when your mind is gone and it's not trying to get you anywhere, you become present in a moment. It no longer controls you. Other center controls you.
mhm,
And he edged it a lot with the danger and how we're so drawn. The center is calling us almost to come to it, and we don't know any other way. We're not we, but we tend to go towards the danger quicker because the center of being is almost alluring us to get into it, and to get to that point is you face the danger. And you know what that reminded me on?
mhm,
Transcendental development. One of the one of the words used, I love it. One of the words that he used to transcend, to almost like get into a different layer of self, or take a leap into your realization, evolution, whatever that it is. But there's this fruitful tension that he explains to transcend. Fruitful tension. And he calls it fruitful. And then he touches other imagination, inspiration, waves, creation, and all these different things, which are very much actually stored in the navel. The first, second chakra of creating, which is very much in the female body, totally shut off. You can't even get into it. It, but I'm digressing. So the fruitful tension is almost the moment where your mind stops. These pressure points, this pressure, you almost squeeze the mind so much so that you feel the pressure in the body, and then out of which creation comes in. And I find that is exactly where my most creative parts of me come out, because I have to go. I have to run. I have so much to do. And there's this fruitful tension that comes in, which is almost danger. I feel as I am rushed to go somewhere and I don't want to go somewhere. I feel something is pressuring me so much. Yet, if I make a choice to stay in that tension, to stay and see what comes out of it, it becomes something totally different than what I think it is. So, mind has no choice anymore than to just not contribute. It stops. And then you open up to it. And I love that that's what the danger, when you come closer to the danger, you feel your mind gone. You
yeah,
no longer think which way you're moving your sword. You're just something else is flowing through you, which
Mm-hmm.
is moving you around, and you are almost not even alive in that moment, but yet you're fully alive. This is, I think, where the paradox also becomes obvious to experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was
When's the last time you've felt that danger?
danger, the death.
Mm-hmm.
I almost recently I'm experiencing it as creative danger, like creative tension. But my, what I call, maybe it was the dark night, one of the dark nights of the soul was when I was just sobbing 2 months ago on the floor. And I couldn't even feel, and I couldn't even breathe. I was like so in so much pain
Mm-hmm.
in my heart center. And I just couldn't do anything anymore other than just cry, 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 and surrender to it. So that was, I knew it's gonna end, and I knew I'm in the midst of something really deep, and I was just like, this is so heavy, 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 heavy. So it wasn't a danger for the end. It was rather experiencing something deeper that I didn't understand. But yeah, never the death or danger that I have to fight that I know. You?
Mm. Most of like the very, very intense experience of danger, most of that has, most of that I should say is like in my teen years and then early 20s. I can think of a few instances like almost drowning in the river, crashing a motorcycle, like big, big events where the body just like it blows up
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing else. Um, yeah. But I was just reflecting too. He mentioned gambling. I thought it was kind of funny because
All the sins.
yeah, it's like sex, gambling, killing,
War.
right?
Yeah.
Or um yeah, so you kind of got me rabbit trailing now like oh, the deadly sins, like why has religion warned us about those things besides the inherent destruction that can be caused potentially to prevent the awakening or the self actualization that can occur on the other side. I don't know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, Carly and I we have a few aspects in our natal charts that point to like um not like straight gambling, but just like the extreme risk taking around
What?
yeah, it's
Like
there.
what?
Um I don't have it pulled up right now, but I can show you
Wow.
later. But there's just we both have it, and it's like I joke with her because we've both just taken big leaps and big risks, and we're willing to like we're like okay, so this might take years and years or a decade to pay off, and we might be poor right now. We're both like absolutely we're gonna do it. um,
Nice.
moving to Hawaii is an example, like you know just booking the tickets and then being like okay, we got to figure this out.
After one dance, that's all it took.
One dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the danger is there, and I think it's quite interesting. This might contribute to what midlife crisis is we we grow up, we experience the many forms of danger. We're taught to avoid it and protect against it. and to be a good citizen, whatever, all these things. And then, so we work so hard to have material comforts and to have a home base and to have security and all these aspects. And then we come to a point of stagnation for so long, and we don't feel connected to our being. And so a crisis emerges, right? A crisis will emerge because we need that experience to center us, and to not be centered is that's what it is. It's like that feeling of we're not going to make it, of I'm calling my mom and saying, "Hey, this might be this might be my last week on my own," and I felt the same way. Yeah.
Where else to go than where I know? There's no option for her to say no.
Yeah.
But you said something in the beginning of your sentence. You said we're taught.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're taught how to do things,
Mm-hmm.
how to make sure the order is followed. But
Taught
listen,
by
we're not,
those who failed.
yeah, taught how to be healthy by those unhealthy.
Yeah.
But we're not taught how to feel.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to feel. We're taught having a tantrums is wrong. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
We're taught the screaming is wrong. The crying is wrong. And I don't, my mom, okay, sidetrack. It's a deep topic
Mm-hmm.
that touches me every time, touches me very, touches me deeply. And I remember I brought her here last year at the same exact time, literally a year ago. She was here. And I was going through something so painful. And I remember we love to eat simple. Me and my mother eat simple foods. We don't most of the time, literally boiled egg, a slice of bread, maybe cheese melted on top, maybe onion, garlic, literally, and green salad, like a cucumber. Simple. And it is the most satisfying thing. And I just had a simple dinner last night. And I was like, wow, I feel so full and rich for simplicity. So I take the wood board for like charcuterie, and then I dump everything on it. And she calls it a chaos dinner because it's just raw pieces of just laying down everywhere and you're picking and choosing. It's like la charcuterie, but almost, it's a dinner. It's not a snack. And then I had this sense of, and I just had this wave of sadness. And I looked at her across and I said, oh my God, I'm so sad. I just said, I'm so sad right now. And she looked at me and she couldn't understand what I was saying, but I felt free to express myself. She laughed because it came out of blue. She started
Mm.
laughing out loud. And I continued in my sadness and she continued in her joy. And we didn't really correct each other's senses and feelings. But the sadness overwhelmed my body so much that I couldn't even eat anymore. And I just placed it down and I looked at her and I said, oh my God, I'm so sad.
Mm.
I'm deeply sad. Let me sit with it. And as I was chewing, I was trying really hard to swallow. Literally everything stops when you
Yeah.
start experiencing. I'm crying now because it's so rich in its depth and width and like it's such a rich experience to feel something, sadness, joy, bliss, speechlessness, awe. These are qualities that we are not taught how to feel.
Yeah.
And without such qualities, we cannot find our centeredness. And what you said is like, if I don't know how to experience such deep feelings that I don't understand, Well, we need to learn and grow capacity to experience them. We need to feel safe to experience them. We need to feel free, to have space to be, even if it comes in a form of sticking the tongue out, dancing uncontrollably, like saying things that don't make sense, like illogical, irrational, all this that was assumed to be mentally ill, that we were burned at stakes for, needs to be experienced in the body and is such a rich, rich human experience to feel aliveness, to feel that something is alive and something is moving and operating inside of you that you don't understand. And then he explains it. Only then you will be able to find the centeredness because it's all your experience. It's only
Yeah.
your experience. It has nothing to do with the other person across. She was having a blast. She was laughing. She could not believe that I am so sad.
Hmm.
And to this day, we bring it back and we laugh about it. Now we laugh about it, but I had such experience in front of her and I was so good. To this day, I still have the same recognition.
Yeah. Yeah. And, OSHO was talking about this in the 60s and 70s. And Tantra itself is millennia old. I don't know how old. Um, and my own personal temptation is to say like, oh, well, because we're reading about it, this is the new school. Like this is the new way of doing things. Like, wouldn't it be great if Tantra was just a part of everyday awareness and it was taught in schools to kids like, hey, whatever your experience is, and you have this space to let out whatever you need to let out, but it has to be, it's just, it's like, to me, this is radical acceptance. Whatever is valid. And then when we come up against being taught that a lot of what we experience is not valid, or a lot of what we think and feel and desire isn't valid, and that we have deadly sins that will curse us and will burn in hell, and it's like just everything about being human is pulling us apart. And then
Mm.
Tantra is just bringing it back in and just saying, you are valid to experience whatever it is that that is there. And I have my own desire to do this with, with my kids, just give them a new way of being. But of course, they go out in the world and uh, they're going to be touched, metaphorically speaking, but you know, touched by people who are still hurt and still in that limited belief about validity of their own experiences. And then too, it's like, even in my best intentions, of course, I still raise my voice at them, yell at them, get angry, ignore them, show them elements of unsafety, and it's like there's trauma all around. Like, that's also valid. It's a valid experience, right? And even having the best intentions and being slow and having these talks and giving
Mm.
myself space, it's like the healing process is, at least for the foreseeable future, it seems endless, and that is also valid. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
just layers and layers and layers of acceptance. And I think the acceptance itself is a aspect or a taste of what love is. And
Mm.
um, I'm really grateful to be a parent because it continually breaks me down. Like, just,
Mm.
uh, yeah, it's wild how much is there in what my kids bring to me, and then my decision to do things differently. Um, yeah, I was recently yesterday just holding Jace, and he was having a big tantrum, and uh, I mentioned to you before, I'm like it gets to be like borderline exorcism when there's a lot that he has to get out. And after unpacking what happened to him in the day and how it kind of one thing led to another, and then it led to another, and then it led to another, and I was like, okay, it makes total sense of why he had such a lashing out and it was so extreme. And I'm so glad that he can do that within a 24-hour period instead of having to do that over decades and like have
Mm.
it be repressed. And I was just reflecting as I'm holding him. I'm like, what did my parents do? Because I'm sure I had the same tantrum or, similar tantrum. And I was like, oh yeah, they would just spank me and send me to my room and close the door. And I had to process that alone. And then I was remembering what it was like to be alone in that space of like you feel your body's exploding and there's no control and it's just chaos. And yeah, I just gained empathy for myself, but also like I know um for me, I'm like from what I've heard from other people, I'm like a spanking and timeout is pretty mild for most people's experience. So I just gained a lot of empathy for humanity and um there's empathy to give on all sides. There's empathy for all of the children. There's also empathy for the parents because you don't know what else to do. You were taught the same way, and yeah, it's hard to be a human being in these times, and uh, there's a lot to learn from acceptance, and it's not an easy path either, as you know. It's like the moment you decide, oh, I'm gonna learn to accept because then my life will be sunshine and rainbows. It's yeah, it's hard to feel. It's hard to feel what's happening and to give it space. But it's important, I think, to just have a moment of feeling centered is worth all of the pain. Yeah.
You're so mushy, mushy.
Yeah.
We're like melting.
Yeah.
But I want to point out something. What just happened, you experienced. I experienced something, re-experienced it. You just you had an emotional experience that you welcomed and you took, you felt deeply. And when you feel deeply, you then realize the empathy shows up for the entire humanity, you said.
Mhm.
There's so much love that radiates from feeling. Like you can't help it but not to see yourself in the other, like you saw yourself in the child, in your son, like you saw yourself in the neighbor. When you drop into this area, and we're only talking this area that is not even the actual center of beingness, but from here to the center, we can't go without this. And what just happened is that I felt what you felt. We literally, like, I couldn't help but not experience what you're going through.
Mhm. Yeah.
And my mind was not there. It was just my concentration was on you. My whole world stopped to become you, to witness you, to be with you. and I tuned into you. And I think this attunement that everyone is talking about does happen in the intimate connecting. And that
Mm-hmm.
intimacy is not only sexual connection between two people, it is also witnessing the other and tuning into being, not even being there for you. You didn't need me. You just went through experience. And I just witnessed on a bodily level the energetic experience of what you just did. So my body reacted the same way like you reacted. I mirrored everything, and not because I wanted to copy, but rather than I felt something because you radiated this outside,
Mm-hmm.
which is why time stops, which is why the mind no longer counts, which is why we don't yawn when we experience these things. But if you are trying to debate me on the head level, I'm checked out immediately. We can connect on the mind intellectual level. We can exchange, but the experience of it is much wider, much deeper, and more magnetizing for the deeper connection and attunement to one another. Now,
Mm-hmm.
imagine we now connected heart to heart. And this year I learned to say, my heart talks to you. Take the mind out. Take it with the heart if you can. I'm sending this from the heart to your heart. I'm talking directly to your heart. Don't think about it. Feel it. And if it's right, it's right. If it's not, it's not. It's not. Acceptance. And imagine from this connection going deeper then into the beingness. Imagine another layer of connecting with another human being with something else that you relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful. No wonder why they stopped us. So you
Yeah.
see, now I understand how powerful this can be. Now I get it why humanity wanted us to control us and keep us just here. Religion, politics, money. I get it. See? And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to understand that it was so frightening to whoever and whomever created the layers of control of the mind
Yeah.
because it's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes back to power. And you said like you said it's not sexual and learning about tantra. I'm like, well, it is sexual. It's just not what we paint as being sexual, like how our typical understanding, but like it is deeply
Intimate.
sexual intimacy. Yeah. And as the saying goes, everything is about sex except for sex, which is about power,
Yeah.
right? And so
Well
if
said.
this deep if this deep acceptance increases our awareness and our intimacy, and that's the the sexual energy, which is the foundation of life itself, of the origin of energy itself, like how we interact and connect, then we are accessing inherently we're accessing power that typically is kept under some wraps. Like you only get power by gaining status, fame, money, and then two, those can be manipulated because those can be controlled. This is something else. It
Mm.
can't be controlled. It's a little pinky.
The
Yeah.
smaller, the more powerful.
It seems smaller. It seems
Mm.
this actually, I mean, from an outside awareness, this seems fragile. It seems delicate. It seems like there isn't any power inherent in what's happening. And when you or I um, openly share and start crying, it's like, what are you talking about? Power. There's no power there. But we can feel it. You and I can feel it. And, it emanates out, it radiates out. And you do carry an aura. As I told you when I saw you on the plane, I was like, I want to sit right there next to that aura. um, Part of
And
that is that is like how much access to your own center, your own energy do you have, and that's what radiates out.
mm.
Though you might not see it yourself.
It's very
Mm.
strange when I hear it. That's why it's like, no. But I'm not, I don't have a sense of it. But it's what I do know, I'm gonna tell you, when it comes to this spine thing,
Mm.
when the spine is erected, which is
Mm.
why when I lean, oh, okay. I find in our contemplations of OSHO, I want to sit comfortably so I can relax in the body and my voice can actually settle down with my energy down so I can come from a different center. But when we do the jinkies, my spine is so erected, I'm full of energy.
Yeah.
Literally, I sit like this, I don't even lean. So the spine and energy in the spinal cord and the nervous system there, I was laughing as I read it and I was like, no wonder I'm bigger, I'm more
Yeah.
expressive, I'm so external because there's so much energy coming out, I can't help it. But when
Hmm.
I'm actually relaxed into the body and I'm using different centers, not the spine, it's like my everything about me comes down in a different frequency. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, not that I digress from having an aura, but why not?
Oh no, yeah, I think it's
Everybody.
related. When you in Osho's talks, he's in this big chair and he's like melted into it, you know. And I sense the same thing. I find I'm leaning back more during Osho talks, and I'm like very my breath is coming from my belly, and our voices are deeper. It's just like it's like a richer,
Calmer.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's inviting us inside. And when we use a lot of our minds, a lot of our mind in
Mm-hmm.
jinkies, totally different energy.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Side note, I've been thinking what next can we contemplate? And then I started getting afraid that you're not gonna continue any longer. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just let it be. Immediately, one thought after another after another. So much.
I've had the
So
same
dead.
thoughts. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. So you're saying after Jinkies?
Because it's almost done. We only have like 9 left, right?
Yeah.
64 mine.
I think it'll be probably March or April, which is, of course, interesting timing.
Mm. Sounds, of course.
But yeah, we can figure it out. Maybe something with yeah, it'll be interesting because there will be a lot more Aries going on.
Oh my God. Shall I
So,
leave you to peek? Feel if something comes out. I mean, there's
well,
so much.
how's your Blavatsky
Open.
exploration?
Book is open,
Yeah.
staring at me. Um, yeah, I'm far away in the galaxy still,
Yeah.
deeply in the galaxy with these changes and
Mm.
galactic influences that we have and yet to discover. I think there will be much more coming this year of all the planets that we have never known existed for a very long time in our galaxy. But, you know,
Yeah, I was just watching randomly popped up. I was just watching like the story of the denial of Pluto because they found Aries or Eris and
hmm
Haumea and some of the other like early 2000s.
cluster. Yeah.
Yeah, and now there's probably hundreds more at this point.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. So Blavatsky is going, but that energy of that book is very, even further, right? It's almost like it gives a, a, um, a sphere over humanity. I no longer think of a self-centered self. I think of us as civilization, and it's good. But let's feel our way through it. I like
Yeah.
it. It's a totally different topic. You and I are so random. It's crazy. Yet it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Gemini.
random.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing this. And I don't know how we got to this point, but we are here now. And these are very, very, very helpful. Meaning, I often talk about them. And when I go to bed, I recall techniques. Actually, I recall when I have the time to choose or give myself permission, I recall a lot of the techniques, the third eye, the death of the body, being centered, the dreams. This is not real. The
Mm-hmm.
third eye. Did I say the third eye? I did say the third eye. The inhales, exhales, the gaps in the thoughts. I really like the box that it offers to choose as per need. It doesn't need to be consistency, but I often recall them and I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember the last time I read a self-help book. Irony that I remember the techniques on. I actually have to go back and reread all the steps because I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference because now I remember a lot of them here because I feel them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huge difference rather than, ooh, I need to do this, this, this.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How do you feel? This is like we're almost 150 pages in.
Yeah, I love Osho. Um, and his approach, the way he talks through things, gives examples in the stories. I love how I think it really anchors you into the resonance around the words and not so much the words themselves.
Mm.
And it's right. I mean, there's a different quality to this because this is like he gave live talks and they just transcribed it. And I think it comes through. Like you can really feel his presence in it. And I love that. You mentioned the second technique here was like not, I thought you said something early on, like I wasn't sure about the second technique or,
Fine.
yeah, in the spine, the delicate lotus thread.
Well, after yoga training, I had to look and learn muscles and the bones and the structure and how it connects everything. And I learned the love for the skeleton and the body and how massively complicated it is and complex. And you kind of have to go to some school to learn anatomy of complexity of nervous system, all the veins, the blood, the cells, like not that deep, but the muscles, how they're all grouped together and work together. And then it changed my whole workout routine completely. And I've been working out all my life. Like you're talking 35 years nonstop, like some activity, even when you climb the trees. It's a workout to me. So now when I climb the tree, if I were to climb a tree, or if I were to escape somewhere, which happened 2 years ago, I was locked in the garage. I had to actually climb the wall all the way up. I am conscious about what muscle am I using. It is hilarious. So to be in the body during the workout is like I'm actually not into what I'm looking at. I'm inside my body every time I lift, right?
Yeah. Your
So
bodybuilder.
huh?
This is like important techniques in bodybuilding, like feeling the muscle, like going into the muscle. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But I had to understand what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I always come here. It's like my mind is very powerful, but I need to feed it the good info in order to drop into the body and be aware in the body. My technique. This is like, self-made,
Well, it's
whatever.
like it helps too because if you understand, like I'm just gonna give an example, like the pectoralis, it goes underneath the biceps tendon and it attaches over here.
Hmm.
And so when you're doing something with your chest and you're like, oh, it's over here, and then you can just shift something like an inch or two and feel it more because you have the understanding you can shift, and then your body, and then you're more embodied from that. So it's like kind of a
Hmm.
beautiful interplay. Anyway,
Or let me just add another one, which blew my mind. The entire arm is linked to the skeleton, but just clavicle. Can you believe how this thing is strong. That to me blew my
Hmm.
mind. The entire arm, including with the plates behind, is held by clavicle. This is how
Hmm.
our bones are so freaking strong. Like you can do whatever you want. You can move it, rotate it, hold, bend, lift, hold, like, carry, stand on your legs. Clavicle, this little tiny little bone. And
Hmm.
underneath it, bird tantra. This is underneath it. It's the nerve that holds a lot of trauma. So actually, there's a
Yeah, the
practice that you
grief.
put, yeah, the
Hmm.
grief, and then you put it down your knee. But to come back to the body, right? Why I think this was very hard for me because I'm so inside the body at the moment of my realization or whatever. I'm realizing I'm inside my body. I can feel my body. And to become aware of my guts, my spine, inside, I actually have to put a lot of concentration in it. But right now, I'm just paying attention to my muscles, right? And how I utilize the bones and the length of the bones. And, like I'm so trained to just think of the proper position and to pay attention to what muscle groups is pulling for every single movement that I'm doing that I didn't really care much to go into the spine.
Hmm.
So I actually have to use the technique in a full effort of concentration to come back and start feeling what it feels to be the spine and almost like feel the vertebrae and kind of concentrate on feeling them. I think it's great. I just didn't care much about it. You?
Yes, similar current experience, but I do have historical experience of um, pulling the energy up, like a
Mm,
Joe Dispenza style meditation. Where you're inhaling, squeezing, pulling it through the spine, pulling it up here, and then in that process, I'm becoming very aware of the spinal column and also up into the brain stem and all that. So having that awareness, but feeling it as very delicate, like that, because it's essentially it's like very delicate, and then it's surrounded by the the spinal structure, the bones, the very strong bones that support it. And of course, he talks about harakiri in Japanese, where they put a sword through their stomach when they're like disgraced or something, and how it goes right to the spine. It's like instant death,
mm,
and it's like it's if you just think about human beings in general, like we're just really, really fragile, but yet we can take so much trauma. Like how many people get in car accidents and are fine. It's just like it's profound how quickly our lives can end, how delicate that
mm.
connection is from the whole spine up to the brain, and how that controls the entire body, and how we have essentially the spine is connecting this center and this center. Right. So yeah, just
And the brain being just a end of just an extension
yeah,
or a mind, how he said the brain.
yeah, and it starts to make sense. Then it's like, of course, the hara is the first center. Then
Mm.
it's the base, it's the root, and how many humans nowadays don't have their roots, don't have awareness of their roots. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like in contemplating the delicateness, you also find the strength. It's like, and then the paradox emerges, and then we learn to let go. I think
No, makes sense.
that, yeah, the deep part of relaxation is the ability to let go, or the willingness to let go.
An ability. You're right.
Hmm.
An
Yeah.
an ability. An ability. It's like, do you really let go? Be honest with yourself when you really want to let go. Can you let go? And why is heart the hardest to let go? Why can't you let go of what heart wants? But how do you know what heart wants? that it's not your mind that wants it.
Hmm.
What's the difference? And to come back to down to your navel, and you said how many people are disconnected from the navel. We are all in one way or another disconnected from it because,
Unless we're babies.
yeah. And I'm just going to come back to the system again and the Western culture, how going directly to the mind skips the heart. And when you become an adult who is growing awareness about reality of self, just self, and then the world and the rest, you cannot go back to the navel without understanding the heart. When I was in the, and this again is it's very much we got here together, right? So it's not like one of us did it for the rest of us. We held hands on a deeper energetic level of consciousness and we developed to this state together. We couldn't do it alone on our own. When I was in the retreat last time this summer, and this is the third time I did the same exact exercise on finding the root in the first and second chakra. The third time. So it's like you're building this awareness. You're in the body. You're so aroused. Not only you're aroused, meaning you're activated so much that it's way above the standardized way of activation. It's like you're constantly kept to that level for a long time, 7 days. And then this exercise comes as a fifth day. And it was very intentional cacao ceremony out of which you drink cacao with understanding where it comes from. You connect with the source of the root and you literally engage your whole senses. You literally have a sensation of thick, bitter cacao coming through your mouth, touching every single part of your mouth. You're feeling, you're tasting. It's coming down, and then you're literally establishing relationship with this power that it's coming in deep inside your navel. And it's going down and then it's doing its creation. It was the first time after all this practice that I have actually felt the pot inside my navel. Because this part of us is completely detached, not only by the birth, by the, like this, how we are learned to come back into the body through our evolution and development from the early age, but rather than we're carrying this over and over again in our existence. It's very hard for females to come in to the creative source and to sense it inside. And this was the first time that I sensed it. And I was like, wow, I can not only envision, I can feel this big pot full of soil. And it was just a big pot. And then the cacao was just coming in and dripping on it. And it just entered. And I have found this sensation inside my tummy that I haven't before. And you don't know, right? Until you start practicing this. You have to do something. He's right. Do it, do it, do it. But I was so, oh, again, I was so touched by such realization, the sensation that I didn't know what it was, but yet it was there. It was very vivid and it stayed there. So once you feel the parts of your body, they become very much activated, alive online. They become online to your awareness that you can come into. And I just left it. So I surrendered to it and I allowed it just to be. So now there's a soil, there's a pot, and there's something seated in it. And to me, that was much symbolic in meaning and also sensationally that I recall it. I reconnect with it again and again and again and again. But it takes active usage of the mind and imagination, a full concentration to come inside the parts. Vipassana, same thing. Stay here, go here, and then go here, come back, go here, and then go here. It's literally telling you to concentrate all your power of the mind so it can help you come inside so you can feel a lot and almost as if you're opening yourself to feeling centered into your own being, out of which then you can play with the energy and microcosm of kind of initiating the same thing. So Layla's Tantra approach for everything sexual is related to that exact energetic activation of the energy, then you can control with your whole being
Mm.
and all your centers. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Do you feel your navel, your insides?
My insights, yes. I usually like um still working on healing this, but I have some pretty significant gut dysregulation. So usually I feel most of my digestion. But
Mm.
that's digestion. It's not really because there's a lot more organs that are there than just the intestines. But um yeah, typically I have some awareness of the belly and what's going on. Speaking of which,
Mm. You gotta go.
Rich, no, gotta run.
Yeah.
Um, Richard talked about his experience of being a student of the human design. I don't remember the guy's name right now. The guy who brought human design forth. And part of his practice was every morning when he woke up, he would have to do, well, he chose to do an hour or 90 minutes of self stomach massage.
Mm-hmm.
And the ancient cultures, at least in the Mayan culture, there's Mayan stomach massage where, and there's probably something in LA where you could go and get it done. Have you had it done before?
On the practice with Vita. But not a massage, the actually it was a practice of touching the
Of
points
of
and
yourself.
holding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's like there's so much tissue there. There's so much stored emotion, all the
Yeah.
water that's in that area. So, um, yeah, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. I think because typically we're up here in the center, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of processing, and also, physiologically speaking, there's a lot of numbing activity that occurs through the mouth, through eating, smoking, having substances that are not good for us, alcohol, and that kind of creates an environment around the navel which is toxic or not supportive of a positive feeling state. So we disassociate and we continue to numb to get away from it. So it's kind of parallel in my mind to choosing this path of emotional, like total awareness and total acceptance, the tantric path. There's also like the physiological aspect, which is there's pain that can be avoided if we just continue numbing. And it's actually harder to say like what is in my body, what is this feeling, what is occurring here, how can I access that or accept it or feel it or hold space for it. um yeah,
Mm.
I brought that up because I've been meaning to try to find someone here on the island who
That's
facilitates that
massage.
because I've done self massage, but I find that I need just the space, like time and space set aside for that. Because if I wake up and the kids are around me or there's stuff to do, and then I don't give myself the time. So it's like a common Western trap
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Reminded me on one of the practices was like, like a paired practice. And the person, actually, there's a specific sitting. You you
Mm-hmm.
you sit cross-legged
Mm-hmm.
and you're so close to the centers, right? So you literally come very close, but yet the person who is holding space for the person who is experiencing herself or himself deeper, going into the experience, has to be very energetically like bound of almost like this is the space for us. It has to be very clear and pure in the energetic intention and in intention, specifically in intention, that no matter what happens in between the centers, there's no, it's all consensual. However, it is protective, meaning, but any mean you're not coming with the ill intention to take advantage of someone so vulnerable. So it's very, very potent practice, but yet you have to be, you know, that's why I say it's, you have to know who you're trusting with to enter into such spaces. But anyway, let me come back to it. And then there's that one practice where a person is laying on the floor with the knees lifted up, and then another person comes in with the knees through it, and then it's having an access directly to the stomach. And the practices are done in the way where it opens the center, so clockwise, and then counterclockwise, you close the center. But when the center energetic is open, you're tapping literally clockwise, you're tapping the centers. And as person closes the eyes, who is experiencing that is more relaxing into it. And the more relaxed the hand enters deeper
Yeah.
into the body, and the deeper it enters, you're now tuning into their needs. So
Mm-hmm.
they get to say more, deeper. And the deeper you go, the more you centered yourself. This is how I was activated for it too. My partner pressed the center on, I think, was it 4 or 6 on the clock, right? So she pressed it so much. I said deeper, and I keep saying deeper, more, deeper. Her entire thumb went inside, and my, as if my stomach opened for her to press deeply inside the center energetic. Eric, I cannot tell you. Screaming that came out of that I was not aware was just like, I stopped breathing. At the same time, I just experienced this release, huge
Mm-hmm.
release. And then you have the entire room, which engages in the same practice, which encourages you to even go even deeper
Yeah.
because you're participating together. It's not weird that you're doing it alone. And she pressed so much. She's like, I almost broke my thumb. I pressed, and then
Right.
she had to lean over and add another thumb and press inside. You don't do this. You can't do this on your own. It's
Yeah.
very hard to do this. You need another. And this is why I always say we need each other for a lot of these experiences and practices and healing modalities. We need one another to hold, to be safe with. But the release was immense. So we then switch. This is like goes for good 90 minutes for one person to practice. Then we switch for another 90 minutes. And then I'm holding her space, the same exact thing. But her was 12. And as I pressed, I had to actually, I stood on my knees and was literally leaning my whole weight over her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was tiny. And I just pressed, and she's like, more, more, more. And redness, the energy just comes and explodes out. She is experiencing so much release. The tears are coming in. You're actually touching something so deeply of self.
Mm-hmm.
But just this physical experience in which you trust fully to surrender in front of someone. So these practices are so profound, especially that in the navel, because it makes you feel a lot, a lot. So highly recommend if you have someone who you trust to do that, and also who knows how to guide. Alayla, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
does this practice. She has the retreats for couples too. And she probably does the same thing, the same type of experiences and practices with couples. So you learn how
Yeah.
to take this home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
Tantra is
actually have
that powerful. Mm.
we have a couple of friends who are tantra facilitators. Yeah. We just
You should know who to trust, sir. Mm,
yeah, right.
mm, I don't know. I'm very picky.
Yeah.
Very. I don't know why. See, I can only find the answer in the stars. Why am I so?
Safety.
Yeah. Mm. This one was a good one.
This is good.
We cried, we laughed.
Yeah, we cried. I was so happy when you started crying because I been carrying this depth over the past few days. And I'm like, oh, good. It's not just us.
Oh,
Can share in it.
totally. I mean, if you're sensitive to the world and what's going on, you are sensitive. Like you wouldn't be here. I'm so sensitive to the world. So much so that I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
want to deal with it less and less, though I need to now come back into the world and deal with it more face on. But I feel a lot of things are happening around us.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this is all a preparation. Whew, let's go.
Mm.
Okay.
Love
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
By the way,
Kiloway is going off.
oh, y'all, just
Celebrating.
open presents. Do you have presents underneath your tree? Which you
The,
didn't still send me a picture of, but
the kids have presents.
yay. When are you
You want a
opening
picture?
tomorrow?
I'll send you a picture of the tree. I didn't do the video yet.
I know you're too busy.
Next year, I'll do it.
Um, and your profile pictures. Thank you.
Profile pictures?
You know, your professional photo of
Oh,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. I haven't done that. Yeah.
It's good. Just add it to your long list.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Okay. Much
Love you.
love. Ciao.
Bye.